Welcome back to another thrilling mystery with Sherlock Holmes. Don't forget to subscribe for more tales of intrigue, deduction, and justice. Sherlock Holmes and the Deadly Enchantress. The gas lamps of Baker Street cast long, flickering shadows across the cobblestone path leading to 221B. Inside, the familiar warmth of the sitting room enveloped Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson. Holmes was engrossed in a complex chemical experiment, his keen eyes darting between vials and beakers, while Watson was leisurely reading the latest medical journal, savoring a rare moment of tranquility. As midnight approached, the serenity was abruptly interrupted by a sharp knock at the door. Watson glanced up, mildly surprised by the hour's disturbance. "I wasn't expecting anyone," he remarked, setting aside his journal. Holmes looked up from his experiment, his sharp gaze fixed on the door. "An unexpected visitor, perhaps, Dr. Watson." Watson rose to answer the call, moving towards the door with measured steps. Upon opening it, he found a courier, drenched from the relentless rain that had battered London all evening. The courier, a young man with nervous eyes, handed Watson a sealed envelope before hurrying away into the storm. Holmes's curiosity was immediately piqued. He took the envelope from Watson's hand, examining the wax seal embossed with an intricate emblem, a crescent moon entwined with a serpent. "Interesting. This seal suggests a message of considerable importance." Watson, intrigued, took the envelope and carefully broke the seal. Inside was a single, elegantly penned sheet of paper. "To Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson, you are cordially invited to attend an exclusive masquerade ball at the illustrious Langley House this coming Saturday at 8 o'clock in the evening. Your presence is requested to witness a revelation that promises to shake the very foundations of our esteemed society. Discretion is paramount. A concerned benefactor." Holmes read the letter aloud, his brow furrowing in concentration. "A masquerade ball, you say? And a revelation that could shake the foundations. This is no ordinary social gathering." Watson pondered for a moment. "Do you believe this is a genuine invitation, or could it be a trap?" Holmes stood, his mind already racing through possibilities. "Given the nature of our recent inquiries and the shadows that seem to linger over London's elite, I suspect this invitation is tied to matters we have yet to uncover. It would be unwise to ignore such a summons." Watson nodded in agreement. "What do you propose we do?" Holmes walked to his window, gazing out into the rain-soaked streets. "We attend the ball, under the guise of guests, and observe. There is much we can glean from such an event. Alliances, secrets, and perhaps the revelation hinted at in the letter." The idea was met with Watson's enthusiastic approval. "An excellent plan, Holmes. It may provide the breakthrough we need." As the night deepened, Holmes began preparations for the upcoming ball, selecting an appropriate disguise to blend seamlessly among the high society. He chose a tailored evening suit, complete with a mask that concealed his sharp features while maintaining an air of sophistication. Watson, ever the loyal companion, assisted in ensuring their appearance would not arouse suspicion. Days passed, and anticipation built for the Saturday soirée at Langley House. On the evening of the event, Holmes and Watson arrived in a stately carriage, their attire impeccable, hiding the analytical minds that awaited within. The grand façade of Langley House was illuminated by countless gas lamps, and the sound of orchestral music floated through the air, mingling with the soft chatter of distinguished guests. Inside, the ballroom was a spectacle of elegance and opulence. Guests adorned in elaborate masks and sumptuous gowns mingled, their laughter and conversation creating a lively ambiance. Holmes and Watson navigated the crowd with practiced ease, observing and cataloging the myriad interactions around them. As the clock neared 8 o'clock, the room's attention shifted to a central dais, where a woman of striking beauty and commanding presence stepped forward. Her mask, adorned with feathers and jewels, concealed her identity, adding an air of mystery. She began to speak, her voice melodious, yet carrying an undercurrent of urgency. "Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, welcome. Tonight you will witness something extraordinary, a revelation that has been in the making for many years. Please, remain attentive, for what you are about to see will change our understanding of power and influence in our society." Holmes exchanged a subtle glance with Watson, both sensing the gravity of her words. As she continued, the lights dimmed and a large, ornate box was wheeled into the center of the room. The woman lifted the lid, revealing an array of documents and artifacts. The crowd gasped in awe as she began to unveil each item, narrating their significance with precision. Among the items was a series of letters and symbols eerily similar to the one on the envelope Holmes had received. The woman paused, locking eyes with Holmes for a fleeting moment before addressing the audience once more. "These documents reveal the hidden dealings and manipulations that have shaped our society from the shadows. It is time for transparency and truth to prevail." Before Holmes could react further, the woman stepped back, and the room erupted into a flurry of questions and chaos. Amidst the turmoil, Holmes and Watson identified the symbols from the envelope on several of the documents, confirming their suspicions that this revelation was indeed linked to their invitation. As the night progressed, Holmes meticulously observed the interactions and behaviors of the guests, searching for any sign of the concerned benefactor. His sharp mind began to piece together the intricate puzzle, but the true depth of the mystery was only beginning to unfold. Holmes approached Watson, who had been quietly taking notes, and whispered, "There is more to this revelation than meets the eye, my dear Watson. I believe we are about to uncover a network of deceit that reaches far beyond what has been presented tonight." Watson nodded, his curiosity fully ignited. "What do you propose we do, Holmes?" Holmes's eyes gleamed with determination. "We must delve deeper into the documents unveiled tonight. There are patterns here that suggest a serial operation, possibly orchestrated by a single individual with access to high society's inner circles. Our mission is to identify this individual and uncover their motives." As the evening wore on, the masquerade ball became a stage for secrets to unfold, alliances to form, and suspicions to rise. Holmes and Watson, hidden behind their masks, navigated the complex social landscape with the precision of seasoned detectives, ready to unravel the tangled web that lay before them. With the first chapter setting the stage for a night of intrigue and unveiling secrets, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson stand on the brink of uncovering a deeper conspiracy that threatens to expose the darkest corners of London's elite. The grand ballroom of Langley House was a spectacle of light and color, adorned with cascading draperies, crystal chandeliers, and gilded mirrors that reflected the opulence of the evening. The air was thick with the scent of blooming roses and the harmonious strains of a string quartet, creating an atmosphere of refined elegance and anticipation. Guests adorned in elaborate masks and sumptuous gowns moved gracefully across the polished marble floor, their laughter and conversation weaving a lively tapestry of high society. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson entered the ballroom with practiced ease, their disguises impeccable. Holmes wore a finely tailored evening suit, complete with a tasteful mask that concealed his sharp features, while Watson donned a mask of understated elegance that allowed his kind eyes to remain visible. They blended seamlessly into the crowd, their keen eyes taking in every detail without attracting undue attention. Holmes's gaze swept the room, noting the interactions and subtle dynamics between the guests. His mind was already working, piecing together observations that others might overlook. Watson, ever the faithful chronicler, followed silently, trusting in Holmes's unparalleled deductive abilities. As the clock in the hall began to chime 8 times, signaling the commencement of the evening's main event, the guests' attention shifted to the central dais. The lights dimmed slightly, and all eyes turned toward the stage where a woman of striking beauty stood. Her gown was a masterpiece of silk and lace, adorned with intricate beadwork that caught the light with every movement. Her mask, embellished with feathers and jewels, added an air of mystery to her already captivating presence. "Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests," she began, her voice melodious, yet carrying an undercurrent of urgency, "tonight you will witness something extraordinary, a revelation that has been in the making for many years. Please, remain attentive, for what you are about to see will change our understanding of power and influence in our society." Holmes exchanged a subtle glance with Watson, both sensing the gravity of her words. The woman continued, unveiling a large, ornate box that was wheeled onto the stage. The crowd hushed as she lifted the lid, revealing an array of documents and artifacts meticulously arranged within. "The items you see before you are the culmination of hidden dealings and manipulations that have shaped our society from the shadows," she declared. "It is time for transparency and truth to prevail." As she spoke, Holmes's sharp eyes caught the symbols on some of the documents, symbols eerily similar to those on the envelope he had received. The realization that this revelation was directly linked to their invitation set his mind racing. He began to observe the reactions of the guests, noting whispers and furtive glances exchanged among them. The woman continued to narrate the significance of each item, her voice steady and commanding. Among the artifacts was a series of letters, each bearing the same crescent moon and serpent emblem as the envelope. Holmes's heart quickened. These were unmistakable signs tying the revelation to the invitation they had received. As the presentation concluded, questions erupted from the crowd, the guests eager to understand the full extent of the revelations. Amidst the chaos, Holmes and Watson remained composed, their focus unwavering. Holmes's eyes never left the woman on the stage, analyzing every gesture and expression for hidden meanings. Suddenly, a commotion arose near the entrance of the ballroom. A guest, his mask askew, stumbled forward, clutching his chest as if in distress. The crowd parted instinctively, revealing the source of the disturbance, a man of middle age with a stern demeanor and an air of authority. He approached the dais, his movements deliberate. "Please, everyone remain calm," he announced, his voice authoritative yet tinged with fear. "There has been a mishap." Before he could elaborate, the lights flickered and dimmed further, plunging the room into a momentary darkness. A collective gasp rose from the guests, followed by a brief period of disoriented silence. When the lights returned, the man was gone, leaving behind only the echo of his announcement. Holmes's keen mind began to connect the dots. The symbols, the orchestrated chaos, and the disappearance of the man all pointed to a carefully planned scheme. He leaned closer to Watson, whispering, "This is no mere revelation. It is a distraction, a means to an end. Someone is using this event to cover their tracks." Watson nodded, his medical training making him sensitive to the nuances of distress and deception. "But what end, Holmes? And who among these guests would benefit from such a scheme?" Holmes scanned the room once more, his eyes narrowing as they settled on a figure near the edge of the ballroom. A woman, her mask partially obscured by her cascading hair, stood apart from the crowd, her eyes fixed intently on the stage. There was something unsettling about her composure, a hint of something darker lurking beneath her elegant exterior. As the guests began to recover from the brief interruption, Holmes and Watson decided to approach the woman. They moved with calculated grace, blending into the remaining attendees who were now buzzing with speculation and curiosity. "Good evening," Holmes began smoothly, his tone polite yet probing. "You seem quite interested in the presentation tonight." The woman turned to face them, her eyes meeting Holmes's with a mixture of intrigue and caution. "Indeed, I find the revelations most fascinating," she replied, her voice soft yet commanding. "There is much to uncover beneath the surface." Holmes studied her intently, noting the subtle tension in her posture and the way her eyes flickered momentarily toward the spot where the man had vanished. "Such fascination often comes with its own set of questions, does it not?" She smiled enigmatically. "Questions lead to answers, and answers can be enlightening." Before Holmes could delve deeper, a new guest approached, tugging at the woman's sleeve. "Isabella, darling, we must go. The hosts are requesting your presence." Annette. Holmes recognized the name from one of the letters in the box. Isabella Moreau, a name that had come up in his preliminary research. His mind raced as he connected the dots. Isabella was more than just a guest. She was central to the unfolding mystery. "Excuse us," Holmes said politely, making a mental note of Isabella's departure. "Perhaps another time." As Holmes and Watson watched Isabella leave the ballroom with her companion, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. Isabella Moreau, a beautiful and intelligent woman with a hidden agenda, was intricately linked to the symbols and the orchestrated chaos of the evening. Returning to their disguises, Holmes whispered to Watson, "We must follow her. There is much more to this woman than meets the eye. She holds the key to unraveling this mystery." Watson nodded, his trust in Holmes unwavering. "Lead the way, Holmes. Let's uncover the truth behind Isabella Moreau and the secrets she hides." As the masquerade continued around them, Holmes and Watson prepared to delve deeper into the labyrinth of deceit and danger that Isabella had woven, determined to bring her dark intentions to light. The game was afoot, and the shadows of the masquerade ball were just the beginning of a deadly dance between hunter and prey. The following morning dawned crisp and clear, the pallid sunlight streaming through the curtains of 221B Baker Street and casting elongated shadows upon the floor. Sherlock Holmes was already at his desk, meticulously examining the documents he had procured from the masquerade ball. Dr. John Watson entered the room, his expression contemplative. "Any progress on the symbols, Holmes?" Watson inquired, settling into his chair across from his friend. Holmes looked up, his piercing eyes alight with intellectual fervor. Indeed, Watson, these symbols, a crescent moon entwined with a serpent, are not mere decorative elements. They bear a striking resemblance to the insignia of the ancient and clandestine Order of the Serpentine Crescent, a secret society that purportedly wielded considerable influence over London's elite in the late 17th century. Watson leaned forward, intrigued. "The Order of the Serpentine Crescent? I've heard whispers of such a group, but nothing concrete. What can you tell me about them?" Holmes began to pace the room, his mind clearly racing ahead of his speech. "The order was founded in 1683 by a group of aristocrats and intellectuals who sought to exert control over political and economic affairs from the shadows. Their emblem, the crescent moon entwined with a serpent, symbolized their pursuit of knowledge and their manipulative tactics, much like the serpent's traditional association with wisdom and deceit." Watson nodded, absorbing the information. "So, you're suggesting that this society may still be active today, orchestrating events from behind the scenes?" "Precisely," Holmes replied, stopping his pacing to fix Watson with a steady gaze. "The symbols we've observed at the masquerade ball indicate that the order may have resurfaced, or at the very least, remnants of its members continue to influence contemporary society. Their motives, however, remain obscured." Watson, ever the compassionate companion, glanced towards the window, where the morning sun highlighted the bustling streets of London. And what of Isabella Moreau? She seemed so composed, yet there's an unsettling undertone to her presence. Holmes's expression softened slightly, acknowledging Watson's observation. Isabella Moreau is indeed a fascinating subject. Her involvement with the Order, if it exists, could provide crucial insights into their current activities. However, we must proceed with caution. Her beauty and charm are assets she likely employs to mask her true intentions. As Holmes continued his analysis, Watson found himself reflecting on his brief interaction with Isabella at the ball. Her enigmatic smile and the intensity of her gaze had left a lingering impression, one that now seemed more sinister in light of Holmes's discoveries. "Holmes, do you think Isabella is directly involved with the Order?" Watson asked, his medical training making him sensitive to the psychological nuances of human behavior. Holmes considered this thoughtfully. "It's a distinct possibility. Her presence at the masquerade ball, coupled with the symbols we've identified, suggests a deeper connection. We must delve into her background to uncover any links to the Order or other secretive organizations." Determined to gain more information, Holmes outlined a plan. "Tonight, we shall attend a social gathering hosted by one of the prominent members of the Order. It is imperative that we observe and gather intelligence without raising suspicion. Watson, your role will be to engage in conversation and gather personal insights, while I focus on the symbolic elements and interactions." Watson agreed, feeling the weight of their mission settle upon him. "Understood, Holmes. I'll do my best to blend in and extract any useful information." That evening, Holmes and Watson prepared for their infiltration into the Order's inner circles. Holmes selected a discreet yet elegant ensemble, suitable for a high society event, without drawing undue attention. Watson opted for a refined appearance, ensuring their disguises were both convincing and functional. The venue was an opulent townhouse, nestled in the heart of Mayfair, its facade adorned with intricate stonework and blooming ivy. Upon arrival, they were greeted by a butler who led them through a grand entrance hall into a lavishly decorated drawing room. The air was thick with the scent of fresh flowers and the soft melodies of a string quartet. Guests mingled gracefully, their conversations a blend of laughter and hushed tones. Holmes and Watson took their places near the periphery, observing the interactions with keen interest. As the evening progressed, they noted several individuals displaying the emblematic symbols. On cufflinks, embroidered fabrics, and even discreetly etched onto glassware. Holmes's attention was particularly drawn to a man standing near the fireplace, his attire subtly embellished with the serpent and crescent moon insignia. He approached Watson, whispering, "That gentleman. Observe his mannerisms. There is a calculated precision in his movements, a sign of someone accustomed to orchestrating events from behind the scenes." Watson nodded, his gaze fixed on the man. "And do you believe he is a high-ranking member of the Order?" "Highly likely," Holmes affirmed. "Our next step is to engage him in conversation. Extracting information without revealing our true purpose will be essential." Summoning his characteristic confidence, Holmes approached the man with a warm smile. "Good evening. I couldn't help but notice your exquisite cufflinks. They are quite distinctive." The man turned, his expression guarded, yet polite. "Thank you. They are a recent addition. I appreciate your compliment." Holmes extended his hand. "Sherlock Holmes, and this is my esteemed colleague, Dr. John Watson. We are new to the area and keen to understand more about the social dynamics here." The man shook Holmes's hand firmly. "A pleasure, Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson. I am Edward Langford. Welcome to our humble gathering." As the conversation progressed, Holmes deftly steered the topic toward the Order of the Serpentine Crescent. "Mr. Langford, there are rumors about a secret society influencing London's elite. Have you heard much about the Order of the Serpentine Crescent?" Langford's demeanor shifted slightly, a flicker of recognition passing through his eyes before he regained his composure. Ah, the Order. A topic of much speculation indeed. However, I find that many of these rumors are greatly exaggerated. Holmes pressed further. But surely a group with such a storied history would leave some tangible mark on current affairs. What exactly do they influence, if at all? Langford leaned in slightly, his voice lowering. The Order operates discreetly, if it exists. Their influence is subtle, woven into the fabric of societal and economic structures. It's not uncommon for such groups to prefer whispers over proclamations. Holmes nodded thoughtfully, sensing that Langford was withholding information. Indeed, subtlety is often the hallmark of effective influence. May I ask what drew you to attend tonight's gathering? Langford smiled thinly. Networking primarily. Events like these provide opportunities to form valuable connections. And of course, the chance to enjoy the finer aspects of social life. As the conversation drew to a close, Holmes exchanged a meaningful glance with Watson. We have much to consider, Watson. Langford is either deeply entrenched in the Order or merely a knowledgeable observer. Either way, his insights could prove invaluable. Watson agreed. And what of Isabella Moreau? Have you had a chance to speak with her? Holmes's eyes twinkled with a mixture of admiration and suspicion. Yes, briefly. Her intelligence and grace are remarkable. However, there is an undercurrent of something more, perhaps ambition or a hidden agenda. We must tread carefully. As the evening wore on, Holmes and Watson continued their discreet observations, piecing together the intricate web of relationships and influences within the Order. Their efforts were meticulous, each interaction and symbol analyzed for hidden meanings and connections. Later that night, back at Baker Street, Holmes and Watson debriefed their findings. The Order's presence is undeniable, Holmes concluded. Presence is undeniable, Holmes concluded, tapping his finger against the documents spread before him. Their influence permeates through various sectors: finance, politics, and even the arts. Isabella Moreau's role within this network is yet to be fully understood, but her proximity to key members suggests she is more than a mere participant. Watson, reflecting on the evening's events, added, Her charm could very well be a tool, Holmes. If she is indeed a serial killer, as the whispers suggest, she might be using her connections to mask her activities and eliminate those who threaten her position. Holmes nodded in agreement. Precisely, Watson. Our task is to uncover the layers of deception surrounding her in the Order. We must remain vigilant, for the shadows of the past have a way of creeping into the present, often with deadly consequences. With their path now clearly defined, Holmes and Watson prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. The enigmatic Isabella Moreau and the secretive Order of the Serpentine Crescent were proving to be formidable adversaries, their true intentions hidden beneath layers of elegance and mystery. As the night deepened, so too did the complexity of the case, drawing Holmes and Watson further into a labyrinth of intrigue and danger. The following evening London was cloaked in a heavy mist, the gas lamps casting diffused halos through the damp air. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson sat in their usual chairs at 221B Baker Street, the morning's findings still fresh in their minds. Holmes tapped his fingers thoughtfully on the desk, his keen eyes scanning over the notes they had compiled from the evening's gathering. Holmes, Watson began, breaking the silence, you mentioned that Isabella Moreau might be using her charm as a tool. Do you believe she is directly involved with the Order, or is she operating independently? Holmes leaned back, his mind clearly occupied with the complexities of the case. Both possibilities remain open, Watson. Isabella's elegance and intelligence suggest a high level of sophistication, likely necessary for someone embedded within or closely associated with a secret society like the Order of the Serpentine Crescent. Watson nodded, his medical intuition attuned to the subtle cues Holmes often missed. Her demeanor at the ball was composed, yet there was an undercurrent of tension. It's as if she's carrying a burden she wishes to conceal. Holmes raised an eyebrow. Precisely. Let us delve deeper into her background. There must be connections, professional, personal, or otherwise, that tie her to the order. A thorough examination of her associations could prove fruitful. Determined to uncover the truth, Holmes began to sift through available records, starting with Isabella Moreau's social and professional circles. We need to explore her family history, her business dealings, and any affiliations she may have. The more we know about her, the clearer the picture becomes. Watson, ever supportive, fetched a fresh cup of tea for Holmes. Shall we begin with her familial ties? Perhaps her lineage holds some clues. Holmes appreciated the gesture, but was already lost in thought. Indeed, Watson, a person's heritage can often illuminate motivations and connections that are not immediately apparent. Their investigation led them to the archives of the British Library, where Holmes meticulously combed through genealogical records and historical documents. Hours passed as they delved into the depths of Isabella's past, uncovering a lineage intertwined with notable figures in London's high society. "Here we are," Holmes exclaimed, pointing to a dusty ledger. "Isabella Moreau is a descendant of the late Lady Genevieve Moreau, a prominent philanthropist and a known benefactor of several scholarly societies in the late 19th century. Notably, Lady Genevieve was rumored to have ties with the Order of the Serpentine Crescent, serving as a patron for their more benign scholarly pursuits." Watson examined the ledger, intrigued. So, Isabella inherited both her beauty and her connections. It's plausible that she leveraged these inherited ties to infiltrate or influence the order. Holmes nodded thoughtfully. Indeed. However, we must consider the possibility that Isabella has her own agenda, separate from the order's original intentions. Her involvement in the masquerade ball and the orchestrated chaos therein suggests a personal motive intertwined with her societal roles. Their next lead took them to a secluded tea room in Mayfair, where Isabella Moreau was known to frequent. Disguised once more, Holmes and Watson entered the establishment, blending seamlessly with the refined clientele. The tea room was an epitome of Victorian elegance, with lace curtains, polished wood furnishings, and delicate porcelain teacups arranged meticulously on each table. Holmes's sharp eyes scanned the room until they settled on Isabella, who sat alone in a corner, engrossed in a book. Her presence was magnetic, drawing the attention of those around her without effort. Holmes and Watson approached her table with the subtlety of seasoned detectives. "Good evening, Miss Moreau," Holmes greeted warmly, his tone both polite and probing. "May we join you?" Isabella looked up, her eyes meeting Holmes's with a mix of curiosity and caution. "Of course, Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson. Please, sit. It's always a pleasure to meet fellow enthusiasts of literature." As they settled into their seats, Holmes wasted no time in steering the conversation toward matters of mutual interest. "Your lineage is quite impressive, Miss Moreau. Lady Genevieve was a remarkable woman, much like yourself. Her contributions to scholarly societies were well noted." Isabella smiled gracefully. "Thank you, Mr. Holmes. I strive to honor her legacy. My work in the arts and philanthropy has always been inspired by her dedication to knowledge and societal betterment." Holmes leaned in slightly, his voice lowering to a more confidential tone. "It's fascinating how such legacies shape one's path. I couldn't help but notice your keen interest in the documents unveiled at the masquerade ball. They were quite a revelation." Isabella's expression remained serene, but Holmes detected a flicker of something, perhaps apprehension, in her eyes. Yes, the documents were indeed thought-provoking. They shed light on many hidden aspects of our society that were previously obscured. Watson observed the interaction, sensing the subtle tension between Holmes and Isabella. "Miss Moreau, what motivated you to host such a grand event? It was unlike any other gathering in recent times." Isabella paused, her gaze drifting momentarily to the window before returning to Holmes. "I believe that transparency and truth are essential for societal progress. The masquerade ball was an opportunity to unveil certain truths that have been concealed for far too long. It was also a chance to foster connections among like-minded individuals who are committed to positive change." Holmes raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her response. "Positive change, you say? It aligns with the ideals of the Order of the Serpentine Crescent, does it not?" Isabella nodded slowly. "Indeed, Mr. Holmes. The Order, in its current form, seeks to utilize its influence for the betterment of society. While its methods may be discreet, the intent remains focused on progress and enlightenment." Holmes exchanged a glance with Watson, both recognizing the significance of her words. "And the symbol, the crescent moon entwined with a serpent, what does it represent to you personally?" Isabella's eyes met Holmes's once more, a hint of something deeper passing between them. "The crescent moon symbolizes growth and new beginnings, while the serpent represents wisdom and transformation. Together, they embody the essence of our mission, to guide society through knowledge and enlightened action." As the conversation continued, Holmes felt the layers of Isabella's persona gradually unfold. Her charm and intelligence were undeniable, but beneath her graceful exterior lay a complexity that hinted at deeper motives. Watson, ever the observer, noted the subtle shifts in her demeanor, recognizing that there was more to her story than met the eye. After a while, Holmes excused himself, signaling to Watson that their conversation was progressing as desired. Once alone, he turned to Watson, his expression serious. "Watson, Isabella Moreau is indeed a formidable individual. Her connection to the Order is evident, and her motivations, while seemingly altruistic, may conceal more intricate and perhaps darker intentions." Watson nodded thoughtfully. "Do you think she could be involved in the serial killings we suspect?" Holmes contemplated the possibility. "It's plausible. The murders, coupled with the symbols and the orchestrated chaos at the masquerade, suggest a methodical approach to achieving a particular end. Isabella's influence and her access to high society could provide her with the means to manipulate events to her advantage." Determined to uncover the truth, Holmes decided to press further. "We must continue to observe her interactions and gather more information about her activities. There may be connections we have yet to uncover that will shed light on her true nature." As they left the tea room, the fog outside had lifted, revealing a clear night sky speckled with stars. Holmes and Watson walked side by side, their minds racing with the implications of their findings. The enigma of Isabella Moreau was becoming increasingly intricate, and the path to unraveling her secrets was fraught with complexity. Back at Baker Street, Holmes began compiling their observations, his mind a whirlwind of deductions and hypotheses. "Watson, our investigation is evolving rapidly. Isabella Moreau is a key figure, and understanding her motivations will be crucial in preventing further atrocities." Watson agreed, his trust in Holmes unwavering. "We'll follow every lead, Holmes. Together, we'll uncover the truth behind Isabella and the Order of the Serpentine Crescent." As the night deepened, the shadows of London's elite concealed both beauty and danger. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson stood on the precipice of a revelation that could alter the very fabric of society, determined to bring light to the darkness that threatened to engulf it. The following evening in London was overcast, with thick clouds casting a somber veil over the city's sprawling skyline. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson sat in their familiar seats at 221B Baker Street. the room dimly lit by the flickering flames of the fireplace. Papers and notes were strewn across Holmes's desk, each one a fragment of the intricate puzzle they were striving to solve. "Holmes," Watson began, his voice steady but tinged with concern, "the more we uncover about Isabella Moreau and the Order of the Serpentine Crescent, the more entangled this case becomes. It's as if every thread we pull tightens the web around us." Holmes looked up from his notes, his sharp eyes reflecting the intensity of his thoughts. "Indeed, Watson, Isabella is proving to be a master manipulator, adept at concealing her true intentions beneath layers of charm and intellect. Her connection to the Order suggests a level of influence that extends far beyond what we initially anticipated." As they delved deeper into their research, Holmes began to piece together a network of connections that linked Isabella to various high-profile individuals across London. His mind raced through the possibilities, each revelation more alarming than the last. "Look here," Holmes pointed to a map of London marked with several locations. "These addresses correspond to significant events related to the Order. Notice the pattern. Each site is linked to a notable member of society who has since disappeared under mysterious circumstances." Watson leaned in, studying the map with a furrowed brow. "You believe these disappearances are connected to the Order's activities? Could Isabella be orchestrating these events to maintain control within the society?" Holmes nodded thoughtfully. "It is a plausible theory. The Order thrives on secrecy and manipulation. Eliminating those who pose a threat, or who could expose their operations, would be consistent with their modus operandi. Isabella's role within this structure is yet to be fully understood, but her influence is undeniably significant." Their investigation took an unexpected turn when they received an anonymous tip. A letter, similar in style to the invitation they had received earlier, arrived at Baker Street. This time it was marked with a simple message: "To Mr. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson, your pursuit of truth leads you deeper into shadows. Be wary of the web that tightens around you." A silent observer, Holmes examined the letter carefully, his fingers tracing the elegant script. "Another message, Watson. It serves as both a warning and a confirmation that we are being watched. The sender wishes to intimidate us, to discourage further investigation into the Order and Isabella Moreau." Watson felt a chill run down his spine. "Are we dealing with someone directly involved, or could this be an attempt to mislead us?" Holmes's expression remained inscrutable. "The letter is too vague to ascertain the sender's identity or intentions conclusively. However, it reinforces the notion that our inquiry is reaching a level of significance that some would prefer to remain concealed." Determined not to be deterred, Holmes proposed a strategic move. "Tonight, we attend a gathering hosted by one of the Order's known associates. It is imperative that we observe their interactions and gather more concrete evidence of their operations. Such events are often the perfect cover for clandestine activities." Watson agreed without hesitation. "I will make the necessary arrangements. Perhaps we can discreetly follow one of the prominent members and uncover their involvement." Later that evening, Holmes and Watson arrived at an exclusive club nestled in the heart of Mayfair, a known meeting place for members of the Order. The facade of the building was unassuming, with dark wooden panels and wrought iron accents that exuded an air of old-world charm. Inside, the atmosphere was one of subdued elegance, with guests engaged in hushed conversations over glasses of fine spirits. Holmes, dressed in a sophisticated evening suit, blended seamlessly into the crowd, his presence both commanding and inconspicuous. Watson followed closely, his demeanor calm and observant. They were determined to remain unnoticed as they navigated the room, searching for any sign of Isabella or other key figures within the Order. As they moved through the crowd, Holmes's eyes caught sight of a familiar face: Edward Langford. the man they had spoken with at the masquerade ball. He was engaged in a deep conversation with a group of influential businessmen, his gestures animated, yet controlled. Holmes signaled to Watson, who nodded and approached a nearby table to keep watch. "Langford appears to be a high-ranking member," Holmes whispered, his voice barely audible. "Observe his interactions and note any peculiar behaviors or connections." Watson watched intently as Langford discussed various topics, his manner exuding confidence and authority. Suddenly, Holmes's attention was drawn to a woman standing alone near the far end of the room. She was impeccably dressed, her presence both alluring and enigmatic.